Well, in case you thought it couldn't get any weirder or just kind of gross, doesn't all this tranny stuff just kind of gross? Daily Wire's doing some reporting out there. The intelligence community in the country, well, they're really enjoying Pride Month. You can get free tranny manicures. I'm not exactly sure what they're painting on your fingers, nor do I want to know. The largest pilots union in the country, they don't want to call it a cockpit anymore. I always thought just that was the bar these people went to. But either way, that's where we are as a country. Joining me now, two wonderful people to discuss this insanity. Jim Pfaff, president of the Conservative Caucus, and of course, Quisha King, host of the Quisha King Show. Jim, I don't even know where to begin. What's a tranny manicure? Maybe I should have asked that one to Quisha.
I mean, I'm trying to figure out what the functionality is, except to try to abruptly change culture in any way. And I cannot find one reason why we're going to have a safer country through our intelligence operations by making sure people get their fingernails colored a special rainbow color. It's amazing to me.
Quisha, it really grosses me out how ingrained this stuff is in society. Obviously, if San Francisco, if Berkeley's going to have Tranny Day, no, you're not going to be shocked. I'm not going to be shocked. I'm never going to go to Berkeley, nor could I ever get into Berkeley. But the problem is our government, which is way too big, they're the ones promoting this around the world, and we pay for it. It disgusts me.
You're absolutely right. We don't, we think that this is isolated. We want it to be isolated, but it's not. This is being ingrained in our culture so deeply. I was on the train in New York City a few weeks ago, and I saw like the MTA has got like the flag, the new trans flag. And it just got me to thinking about flags and what that means. And when we take this on into our country, a flag says, when you are waving a flag and it has been implanted down, it says, I am taking over. I am staking my claim in this land. And that's what these flags mean. It's the BLM flag. It is the transgender flag. It is the new, pro for the Free Palestine flag. All of these flags, and they're under the same banner. Communism. Like, these people are communist. They are not, it's really not about the transgenderism or the Black Lives Matter or, whomever. They will use whomever, whatever they want to accomplish their revolution. And they're doing a good job.
You're right. Different fingers of the same dirty communist fist. Jim, how many Americans do you think are aware of what Quisha just said? I feel like the branding for the left has been very effective. If they look at a feminist rally with all the Subarus and everything, they would think, well, at least they probably at least pretend to care about women. That Black Lives Matter. They care about black people, of course, and all the gay crap with the pink feather boas. But it's not about that at all. The question is how many Americans are picking up on that?
Yeah, very few, frankly, in terms of getting a comprehensive understanding of what these people are trying to do. This goes back to the cultural Marxist philosophy of Antonio Gramsci, someone no one has heard about. His works were printed up after his death. But, he really was pushing for a new Marxism. Once Russia was really losing its capability to win the Cold War, he wanted, and he knew it was going to fall down. He wanted to go in and infiltrate culture deeply to maintain a cultural Marxist ideology. So that means infiltrating and controlling cultural institutions, creating a sense of crisis and instability. This is the game plan that these people are undertaking, and do not be at all confused by the fact or unaware of the fact that whether it's Rashida Tlaib and AOC and other elected members of Congress and what's going on in your universities, that this is not part of a specific plan. In fact, it's Barack Obama's community organizing as well. I mean, this is what's happening in plain sight and, as you say, not always understood well by the public.
Quisha, why are they better at organizing and activism than we are on the right? Wherever people fall on the right, I don't care how you classify yourself, but they are really good at it. It's what they do, and we don't. Why?
They practice a totalitarian, collectivist way of thinking. So their worldview is, when we approach you, we have a very specific type that we want. Those are who are angered and those who are on the fringe, and kind of like the misfits of society. They agitate them and then they train them. This is where what we don't do on our side. They train them. If you guys remember Patrice Cullors from the BLM, she said we are trained Marxists. And that means knowing how to poke the bear, knowing how to cause a civil unrest, knowing how to throw a brick and hide, knowing how to agitate communities. They literally, and that's what the community organizing was, training others in a particular community to go in and be disruptive so you can divide and then you can conquer. And we don't spend enough time assimilating, people to our way. I don't want us to be collectivists, but we should practice persuasion. We should present our ideas and say, hey, here's what they're presenting. Here's the long-term effects of that. Here's what we have over here. Here are the long-term effects of this. And we have proof of a westernized civilization that backs up our way of life. And they have their evidence as well. And it has all led to murder, chaos, and utter destruction of every single nation, civilization, community that they have ever put their hands on.
It is true. We are way too passive about freedom. Freedom is not a passive thing. It's got to be an active thing. Speaking of active things, Jim, I was encouraged yesterday to see the 10 Commandments is going back into schools in Louisiana anyway. And if anyone has a problem with that, I don't give a crap. That's exactly where the 10 Commandments should be. Jim, people have a hard time understanding that nations have religions. There's no such thing as an atheist nation or a secular nation. Your nation's going to have one. You better pick one.
That's absolutely right. By the way, I'm really excited that we have maybe one of the best governors in the nation. My friend, Jeff Landry, when I was working on Capitol Hill, I was with him. The guy is brilliant. He comes across like swamp people, Louisiana. He's a fascinating mind, but he's also fearless. What's interesting about the 10 Commandments debate that has often been neglected is that there is hardly a religion in the world that doesn't assert the 10 Commandments in one form or another. C.S. Lewis wrote a famous book back in the 1940s called The Abolition of Man. And he was talking about, this is where you get that men without chests quote. We take the organ out and demand the function. We take the heart out and demand something to happen. And in the back of that book, he made a very comprehensive review of various religions and their thoughts and teachings on issues related to what's in the 10 Commandments. And you find out, it doesn't matter if it's Norse culture or Hindu culture, various European cultures, and various ones from around the world, even African cultures, they assert these principles. So this is not a violation of church and state. This is actually an affirmation of the principles that we hold most dear. And in fact, on the House floor, if you look up at the top of the House floor, you see all the various lawmakers throughout history. Right in the very middle, in front of the speaker's chair, is Moses, the lawgiver. And Moses is the only face that is a frontal face like this. The rest of them are facades on the side. There's a purpose and a reason for that our founding fathers and those early in this country understood, that Moses, the lawgiver, gave the foundation for all good moral behavior and good moral government. In fact, reduced government.
Quisha, final word is yours.
I love to see it. I want the Bible to be brought back, to be presented to children. As a mom and as a fighter for education, proper education in America, I would like the Bible to be presented as, at the very least, a historical document. Let's give kids something to compare, another narrative to consider. We don't give them anything else to consider. They get one-sided, a one-sided view of everything, including evolution theory. And so there's never any other ideas that are presented to kids that are long held and relevant, and that can actually teach them how to be better people, and that it is not all about you, and that there is something greater to press towards. And so I love this idea, and I think we can see this across the nation. I would love to, and in a historical context that I think people would be hopefully willing to accept.
No doubt about it. Quisha, Jim, appreciate you both.